Hello everyone. We finally reunite in another episode of Culture Swipe, and this week I want to introduce you the largest country in Asia, which has the largest population in the world as well. And I bet you can guess the country I'm talking about right now. And yep, it's China. And with more than 4,000 years of record history, China is well known for rich cultures and traditions. And I'm not an expert in in this field, so I'm invited with you today, my guest. And let's welcome Violet.
Hello, everyone. My name is Violet Xiong. Technically, I go by Violet because my name is hard to say for most people. I am from China. I'm currently a senior studying international business and marketing. And to you, thank you for having me, Betty.
Yeah, of course. How do you say your name again?
Violet Xiong.
Yi Jia Shong.
You got it. You got it on spot. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. I understand completely like how name different here, so that's why I go by Betty too.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah. Yeah. So how long have you been to the US? Like, do you start from freshman year or?
Yes, I started my freshman years. I enrolled in the spring, so I'm currently a super senior and I will proceed to be a super senior the following year. But I've been here for 4 years in total, on and off, going back home, traveling the summers, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's so great to hear about that. Yeah, so before getting further, I would love to get to know more a little bit better. So I invite you to play maybe an icebreaker game, which I usually do with my guests.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's a little bit changed because usually people just pick up some random paper in the box. But this time I want to introduce you some of my childhood game. It's
Yeah.
called so it's west, south, north.
I know exactly what it is.
Yes. So I changed it a little bit because it's usually like some of the random sentence that make up some of the random words that make up the whole sentence. But for this one, I include in there some of the question or maybe challenge. So yeah, so you just like choose the direction you want to
Yes.
go and then how many steps you want to go.
I played this a lot when I was a kid. I guess it was not a thing over here. I showed it to a couple of my friends. They were just all in, wow, what is this? How are you able to make this like that? I was like, yeah, it's just what we play as kids. It's very nice. I'm gonna choose east and 6 steps.
Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is the most silliest thing you have ever done in your life?
Oh my gosh. Most silly things? I try to not to remember those, unfortunately. My memory just kind of filtered them out, but I think it was one time that I was making like a coaster with a proxy and I accidentally set myself on fire. So
Oh no.
it was a very silly moment because some of my friends were there. They could not stop laughing. It was just the gas tank and it was malfunction and it actually caught my sleeve on fire. I'm perfectly fine, but it was a sight. It started like flying black snow in my apartment.
Oh my god.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one I can remember currently. But it's very unfortunate.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you say.
Thank you. It was very embarrassing because when the Kenpo came, they were like, "What happened?" I was like, I don't know, torch accident, I guess." But yeah, that was a moment my friends still make fun of me till this day.
Yeah, no. For my silly moment, I cannot remember either because I do a lot.
Yeah, right. You
Yeah.
just filter them.
I just remember one time I just listening to some random podcast while doing dishes, and instead of using the soap into the sponge, I use it in my hand
Oh no!
for some reason. Even though I hold
Your dishes.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't that happen so often? It's so weird.
Yeah, no, it's so weird. Yeah. Okay, so which other direction you want to go? Maybe we go 5 turns.
Okay.
So 4 more now.
Okay. South and 5.
2, 3, 4, 5. Solving the riddle.
Okay.
Okay.
I am terrible at solving English riddle, unfortunately. I can't keep up. I don't know why.
I think you got this.
Thank you.
Okay. The riddle says, I'm not alive, but I grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. I don't have mouth, but water kills me. What am I?
Guess an animal or a plant? Or just anything?
It's anything.
Okay.
I would say the key is the last sentence.
Oh, okay. Not alive, but
Grow.
grow. And doesn't have lungs, but need air. I suck at riddles. Should have read a couple of riddles before I came. My goodness. What's the last sentence? Could you repeat it?
I don't have mouth, but water kills me.
Don't have a mouth, but water kills me? Maybe thinking this too hard. I have no idea. Did you get this the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man,
No.
you're smarter than me.
I just have a couple minutes to think.
Okay.
So yeah, but I would say it's somehow related to your silly thing.
Really?
Story. Yeah.
Okay. Fire?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's so
hey!
random.
It's so random. Oh, but that makes sense though. It doesn't
Yeah.
need air. It does kill with water. Okay, that's relatable.
Yeah.
Thank you for the hint.
I don't get it until I read like water kills me. I was like,
Yeah.
what kill?
What kills water? Okay,
Yeah.
that's smart.
Okay. So which direction you wanna go next?
West and 3.
Okay, 3. What do you do in your free time?
Unfortunately, I sleep. That's my favorite activity till this day. No. I recently got into playing video games. I used to be a big reader, but college has been filled with so much reading. I just want to take time off reading, and I started playing some video games. Recently, game I figured out is called Muck, and it's quite fun. I play with my friends overseas, and unfortunately, I recently got motion sickness from it, so I have to take a break off of it. But that's what I do in my spare time now.
Yeah, no, that's so fair.
What about you?
I love reading and watching some videos, but recently I would just I just spend time sleep.
Yeah. It's very much needed in a very busy college life. I sometimes barely get enough sleep throughout the week, and I just feel very burnt out. So any free time I grasp, I just head to bed.
Yeah, and my friend, some of them just make fun of me because I sleep in jeans. I just go back to my dorm and
just
sleep immediately.
I could not understand how you sleep in jeans, though. Oh my word. I used to do that when I was in freshman year. I would just go back to my dorm and just all full clothing still on. And my friend's like, how are you sleeping in jeans? And I was like, I don't know, I'm just too tired to think about it. But now I understand where they're coming from, because I now live in an apartment which has a lot more space and for me to get dressed and get ready for things. And I was like, I cannot ever sleep in jeans ever again. Pros for you, Betty. I cannot anymore. I wish.
I would gradually
getting out of the habit of doing that. Oh my word. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
It's relatable though.
It's college life.
It really is the college life. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. So how many turns do we have?
3.
Yep. So 2 more.
2 more.
Okay.
How about you pick this time?
Yeah, sure. You can
play.
Okay.
Yeah,
you know how
totally
to play, right?
Yep.
I go south. 4 steps.
What is your favorite color?
Ooh, okay. I love blue. Every shade of blue, my favorite color.
I don't doubt it. It's such a pretty... I always thought of blue as like a therapeutic color, because the sky and... I don't know. I really like blue as well. Okay. Last one's for you too. Would that be okay? Oh,
yeah,
I
sure.
need to answer the question too. My favorite color, it shifts from time to time. I don't settle to a color, but most you see me on, it's probably black. But I think I really like the color like maroon, burgundy color. I have some like pencil bags from like 4 years ago that is very worn out in the same color, and I still love that color till this day. But yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, I go east.
East, okay.
6 steps.
All right. What is the most silly you've ever done in your life? Oh no.
It's the same question?
It is. You answered it again. Should I do one more?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What is your zodiac sign?
I'm Pisces.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Pisces.
very emotional sometimes. So.
Oh my word. I don't think so. I have friends that are Pisces and they just strike me as empathetic. They can relate. Sorry. They can relate to you much more than other people. But
Mhm.
I'm a Scorpio.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a lot of friends who's Scorpio,
Mm-hmm.
and they always look so cool. For
Look
some
so
reason.
cool.
Yeah, they're, I don't know, but they have the aura that
Mm-hmm.
makes them look
Mm-hmm.
always cool and very
Mm-hmm.
chill and calm.
Mm-hmm. I hope I give out that vibe. I normally don't. I'm very chaotic as a person, but I think a lot of people think of Scorpios as that like the cool, like distant, and don't mess with me kind of vibe. But I get that. My friend refers me as, can I curse? No, as me as like just don't. But yeah, I understand.
Mhm. But I think you do look cool because I saw you at some the cultural club event,
Mm-hmm.
and you always look like very cool, very luxurious.
Thank you.
So yeah.
Most of the time, I'm standing there just anxiety, like panicking, because sometimes things doesn't go right. I'm just like trying to keep a straight face. I'm just trying to pull it through. But thank you for saying that. That makes it work.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, I really enjoy playing this game with you.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we can move on because I'm now curious about your time here at TU as
Of
an
course.
international student.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So you mentioned you went here like 4 years, right?
Yes.
So is your senior year? Do you have
Yes.
any like plan for it or?
As in after graduating,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not yet graduating. I need to study abroad for a semester. That's something I need to figure out still. That would mean I'm studying abroad and abroad again. So I'm learning French in this process and it's quite terrifying. But after graduating, I'm hoping to stay for my the 1 year OPT training just to gain some work experience from my major because I am very much, I like my major a lot. I added on quite late in my college, which is like later sophomore year, but that's going to be a process. That's going to be quite of a difficult process for like an international student status, but that's my plan so far.
Yeah, I hope it goes smoothly for you.
Thank
And yeah, I
you.
hope you enjoy your study abroad in another country process.
Thank you. I
Okay.
hope so too.
Yeah, so along that process when you studying here, like did you go through any like difficulties as an international student or any culture shocks?
Oh, absolutely. Like my first year arriving here, I had a lot of language barrier through me because I just learned English through school. We in China we started learning school in elementary school. Now they're doing it in kindergarten. So I didn't do any like type of special training outside time. I just learned it through school. And there are certainly terms that were not taught as like the mathematical terms. And unfortunately, my enrollment was late for like a week because my visa was issued late. So I missed my orientation. I missed my first week of school, and I just jumped into my like school coursework that they selected for me. It was kind of hard to figure out through Harvey to get to my classes on campus because I didn't know anybody, and that was quite a difficult time, I think, and it took me like almost a good year to figure out how Harvey works, how the advising system works, how everything on campus else worked. I told us I'm so confused about a lot of things, but so far I can get by. I'm sure that's a struggle for every international come to stay. I think they for with the CGE office they provide you kind of like a session of how do you perceive certain things, so that's quite helpful, but yeah, I still struggle through some language barriers nowadays, especially when you're learning like very technical terms. And if I'm like learning elective classes in geology or astronomy, and that just strikes me out so bad. But that's certain something I have trouble with till this day for sure.
Yeah.
What about you? I'm curious.
I I struggle a lot because my English is not that good when I first arrived here.
Mhm.
I was like, it's still not good now because sometimes I don't understand what are you guys talking about.
No way. You sound so fine. You talk
Thank
you're
you.
you're speaking beautifully, so.
Thank you. You too. But yeah, so language is something very like create challenge for me
Mhm.
because as I would say, I don't understand some of the slang words,
Mm-hmm.
and people here use it a
All the
lot.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, what does that mean? I
I
just study
know.
like what I was taught in the
Yeah,
book,
exactly.
and
It's
I was
not they don't understand because I remember very vividly my friend brings this as an example talking to me now because I think like first semester I met her and she's like we would be in conversations and random words that you just start freezing and you just like oh I don't know this word and they see me pull up a dictionary off my phone and look up the word pharmacy because I never needed to use the word pharmacy in my textbook so like that's this like the strangest word you need to look up but okay that works and they still make fun of me. I don't know why they do, but that's the process, I guess.
yeah, maybe I just look like, oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, maybe,
Maybe.
maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I I don't usually like bring the dictionary, but I
Mhm.
just sit there, smile, and nod. And sometimes they talk about something really horrible, but I
Uh-huh.
did that, and I feel so bad when
Oh
I
my
know what exactly
gosh.
they talked about.
No way. Oh, that'd be so. Oh, I can't imagine that because you don't understand. We're struggling to understand, but at the same time, it. I see that happen all the time. I see some of the people that I talk that are also from abroad, and they would just nod, and as they were confused and looking at me like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, I know that's so funny.
It really is. Some words I used the word groom in my meeting the other day. Everybody made fun of me. I'm not going to explain how I use it and why I use it, but it was supposedly not an appropriate word to use at the present. But okay, learn something every day for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, but I watch anime with my friend,
Mhm.
and she has it's called the app Crunchyroll,
Mhm.
and she loved reading the comments people have on the app,
Mhm.
and they use slangs all the time.
Oh my
And
word.
I learned so much whenever I read with her. I was
I
like,
don't
what
doubt
the
it.
heck they're talking about?
I know. There's so many different terms they use, especially like the idiom they use. I learned mostly through my friends. I did make a decent amount of this domestic friend. They're happy to teach me what it is. And there would be just conversations in between. We're sitting like four people and they're talking. I'd be like, what was that word? What did they say? What does that mean? And I definitely learned a lot throughout the years. And I think I'm caught up now, but I'm not sure.
We gradually caught up.
Yes, we gradually caught up.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, do you maybe touch on some of the like solution you have to overcome like the language barrier, maybe somehow?
Yeah,
But yeah.
for sure. I get that questions a lot because some people doesn't register me being an international student because you can barely hear my accent. That's what I've been told, and I know a lot of Chinese students on campus struggle talking English to professors, to friends, to just other people on campus. I was like, you just have to try. Like if you made it this far into college, I'm sure you're capable and the practice that's what we said practice makes perfect, right? You just have to talk to people, not be afraid, and at the same time understanding most of the people would be very incredibly generous to you to your struggling through your speaking ability and whatnot. They would try their best to understand you and just trying to pick the little things that you struggle with, maybe pronouncing a word, a sentence, and as long as you make the meaning through the other person, then you're making progress. That's how I've done it, and I think going to classes every day helps just because you're immersed in that environment and some of the words are written and shown, display, and it just kind of perfect your language skill to the day-to-day basis. And I think that's most of the thing that helps.
Yeah, that's so true. I do feel that because I went here for high school as
Mm-hmm.
well, but
Mm-hmm.
I was just study online because
Mm-hmm.
of COVID.
Yeah.
So I just communicate with my aunt's family here. I
Mm-hmm.
live with her,
Mm-hmm.
and she doesn't know English that much.
Mm-hmm.
So we just speak in my mother tongue,
Mm-hmm.
Vietnamese.
Mm-hmm.
And I do struggle with pronunciation during that time because I speak Vietnamese all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
yeah.
I find myself having this like funny issue is whenever I switch back talking to my family and friends on campus in Chinese, I find myself struggling now because I've been talking the same language for over a period of time and I'm not I'm not exposed to my native tongue as much anymore. And sometimes I would be glitching on the phone. I was like, wait, what was that word? And I have the first word that came to head is in English. I was like, no, 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 no. that's not what I mean. That's not what I want to say. And I just start slowly finding myself getting like sloppy in my native tongue, which is unfortunate, but hopefully like a month or two at home will fix that issue. But yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
everybody get through that whole process when you're like bilingual. But yeah, fascinating experience though. I amazed a couple of my friends, but just by picking up the phone, like when my dad called me, like, how are you just flipping off a switch, like talking different languages? I was like, that's kind of how you are when you're just bilingual. I don't know what you mean by flipping a switch. I think your language isn't just ingrained in your brain so well, you don't consciously do it anymore. But I'm sure
Yeah.
I understand perfectly what you're talking about though.
Yeah, but it's still there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is still there.
So yeah. I also mentioned like Chinese is one of my other language I really want to learn
Hmm.
because my mother's family side
Hmm.
is originally from China,
Hmm.
and I think they call Chou. I don't know if it's that right, but yeah, because they translate into Vietnamese, so it
Hmm.
just
Yeah, the
yeah,
translation makes it up a little bit. I don't doubt
yeah.
it. I don't doubt it.
Yeah. So you have a lot of memories here at TU.
Hmm.
So what organization, like student activities, did you get involved with?
I'm currently the president of the Association of International Students. So I've been working with a lot of cultural organizations on campus, such as like Asian American, Vietnamese American Student Association. We've put up a decent amount of like cultural events, such as the Lunar New Year, Moon Festival, and we've touched on other culture experiences like Kuwaiti National Day and stuff like that. So I've been pretty active of just putting on cultural events on campus, and especially for international students that want to have a sense of belonging of a community here on campus. But we're hoping to branch out that connection to international students furthermore because COVID happened and that cut our communication entirely. And I don't know too many international students currently that that whole year and a half on online kind of just did not provide us the opportunity to get to know many of them. I'm hoping that changes, and I'm hoping they recognize us as a source of help and platform for any ideas for events or things they would like us to do for them. But yeah, we totally will put ourselves out there more, and in hopes so we can make their lives better here on campus. Especially, we understand the struggle going through all that process and grading to a different culture entirely. For sure, for sure.
Yeah, I love on the event of AIS. So there,
Thank
I went
you.
like most of them. Yeah, some of them just conflict with my schedule, so I would
Hmm.
just like, oh, I want to go, but I
Yeah.
cannot.
I
So
am
yeah.
I'm so sorry about that. There has been events that my officer couldn't make it to while they've planned and helped this whole pull it on together. This whole event. It's such like a shame. But I have events I couldn't attend for the International Women's Day because I have night classes and I wanted to go to every single one of them. I was very sad that it just couldn't happen. Ugh. But we'll try our best to think of everybody's availability. We try to not to throw events during weeknights. We try to throw majority of our big events on Friday nights, and that's when most people have most of the time to go hang out with friends and just come grab free food. You can just go hang out with your friends afterwards. Sorry, but yeah. Thank you for supporting us. I see you a lot at events.
Yeah, if it's at Friday nights, I'm always up.
I know. It's fascinating because we have a group of students, domestically, internationally, very passionate about bringing this type of events and cultural experiences on campus, and that I don't know how unique that is as to a campus college campus. Apologies, but at the same time, I'm hoping that tradition lives on because I believe that type of phenomenon of everybody being passionate about putting us like cultural events, especially one of the biggest student events on campus is brought by the cultural orgs like Lunar New Year, Moon Festival, the my friends who are in ASA VASA, they're just phenomenal, including SAS and all that fabulous organizations on campus. And I'm hoping they carry on the tradition of putting on more on student events, as I've heard great things about them from other students who are attending them, and people love them all around. So yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. I excited for more events in my upcoming years.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So I have one question for you. It might be a little bit tricky, but
Of
I try my
course.
best to
Hmm.
explain.
Hmm.
So, how has your study abroad choice
Hmm.
changed your life or
Hmm.
maybe your previous perspective that you know before you get into the US?
I actually, that's something I thought about quite a lot because, not gonna lie, traveling abroad, sorry, and studying abroad is quite costly comparatively to if you're just going home and going to school at home. But the price itself, it's not a relatable topic, I guess. But I definitely see my ideology, my acceptance of different cultures and just concepts has like and completely changed comparatively when I was at home. I've always thought of myself as open-minded, have always thought of myself as quite accepting towards other things, and you see the difference when you're very limited in a space that's have limited exposure of cultural differences. Not in the context that we don't have different cultures. We do have this concept of nations. We have 56 nations in China. My mom belonged to one of the minorities, while my dad belonged to the majority, which is Han. We do have the cultural difference, but it's quite different. It's like country based. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I'm exposed to a lot more like Mexican culture and maybe Native American culture. That's not something we're taught oversee a lot, and I'm exposed to a lot of other international students experience. I've learned a lot of things about their countries and their habits and food, and it's a fascinating experience because you can't really get that anywhere else aside from the United States, as they have such a diverse profile just of culturals, of immigrants and students coming in and all that stuff. But it definitely has broadened my horizon to the extent I don't think as things so narrowly. I guess that's how you put it, because it used to be, I think of a place in a country as a whole, and you have certain, like we call stereotypes and certain things of prejudice towards it, and the more you get to know certain countries, certain language, certain food, you just realize that most of things are people based. It's not technically related to the country aspect, or more specifically to the government, and you starting to appreciate the beauty of it a lot in general, because like Southern people are really nice. I can tell you that I've traveled around the United States, and Southern people have their like the hospitality, and their food is amazing, and you just starting to learn different things and embrace more different culture as they come to you. That's something I notice about myself for sure. I'm always happy to learn new things. I'm always happy to try new things, despite the fact it might scares me a little bit, but that's something I'm very happy about, that my years of studying abroad, it has shown me a lot of different things I probably could have never exposed to if I stay home and study school there and whatnot.
Yeah, no, that's so beautiful. Yeah. For me, I have not think of this question until I it just somehow pop up when
Yeah.
I prepare the question for my guest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it changed me a lot because it makes me more independent.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I think my friends think me of as my mom kind of just try her best to raise me as independent as she can be, but being alone in a foreign country makes you like very independent to the degree you feel like a full-on adult, and you have to manage everything in your life, which is quite difficult at some points as you're just turning an adult, for sure. But,
Yeah. For real.
mm-hmm.
Like in the country, even though you're independent, but
Mm-hmm.
your parents just take care of everything like health insurance and all
Yes.
this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When I came here and I started working
Mm-hmm.
on campus,
Mm-hmm.
I have to prepare my tax alone. I was like,
Right.
how do I do that?
Exactly. Isn't that so confusing? But
Yeah.
I'm very proud of everybody that has traveled overseas, study here, spend their lives here, and just making it through. Like that's such a big effort, and you're doing great. You're doing a podcast. Isn't that amazing? I have no idea how to do this. It's fabulous. My friends have said brilliant things about your podcast. I'm very happy you invited me, for sure.
Thank you. And I'm proud of you too. You make a lot of things here and events, you organize it all. I was like,
Thank you.
that's so good.
Thank you.
Yeah. And one last question on
Yes.
this section, I would say, is just like, do you have any other advice for any prospective international student before they plan to continue their studying abroad?
Absolutely. Reach out. Don't be scared. Like I understand the fear, you feeling alone being in a new country. I've been through there. I was terrified. I wish I would have asked more help Like at the time I was trying to figure something out, and the setbacks that how am I submitting my coursework? How am I figuring out my grades, all that stuff? How am I figuring out my schedule? That took me a really long time just figuring out by myself. If I would have reached out to somebody maybe from the international student office or just the advising office or anybody that's related in that field, they will be more than happy to explain things to you and move along your process better as you're trying to build your academic career and whatnot. So don't hesitate to reach out. You just academic aspect, live aspect, you're exposed to a field of friends and people that are very friendly and curious about you, and just don't be afraid. I am fortunate enough to make friends that has offered me a lot of help. Every single time I move apartments, it's all friends. Like, because my family's not here, but it's all my friends moving me in and out, keeping things for me and doing things that I could not possibly ask for if I don't have them. But yeah, don't be afraid. Reach out. I know as intimidating speaking in a different language, second language, third language, and whatnot. Reach out to people that, trust me, they're half the time they're more than happy to help you. And as you live on a campus, it's more of a safe, enclosed environment. There are resources to help you in every aspect of your life, as like the health care insurance and so on. That confused me for the longest time till I called the health center, spoke to them for like half an hour on the phone, and explained everything to me. So just reach out. I'm sure you can figure all that things out along the way, but with some help, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. It will make your life a lot easier and does not provide you as much stress.
Yeah, that's very helpful advice, and I hope that you can keep that in mind. And I hope your journey is successful when you get here. And yeah, we are moving to the most exciting part to learn about China culture.
Yay!
Yay! So, what cultural feature of China that make you proud of the most that you want to share with me first?
I think you mentioning that we having 4,000 years of history, that's something I think every Chinese people hold proudly to, because there are countries still stands till this day have this long and dense of a culture and history background, but at the same time where I think we're around the one of the rare ones that our history have never been cut in between. Our language, our characters, our written language has been transformed over the process, but at the same time you can translate and trace our current character to a word like thousands of years ago, and that's something we're always proud of. And through all the dynasties changing and the culture differences and then merging and then getting apart and merging, all that stuff bring us fabulous things, because we're the first country to invent paper, like the printing technique, and gunpowder. Technically it was for fireworks, but later used as gunpowder. And we're the first country to invent a compass, if that's the right word, to directions. And there's another thing that I don't remember currently, but I'm very proud of that specifically. And I'm also very proud of our food culture. We're a very big country just based on population, based on landmass, and you notice the difference between regional food differences, and we have such a diverse apologies, diverse food choices that you have different flavor all around the country. If you just travel slightly down the south and a little slightly up the north, the flavors are not drastically different, but you see the difference and you can understand their culture through their agriculture. Like people from the south prefer grains like rice and whatnot, and people from the north prefer flour like buns, and we call them mantou, and like dumplings. They prefer noodles and stuff like that. So you trace back our culture of how people live their lives for thousands of years through food. It's something you cannot get anywhere else. I'm sure that's the case with every country, but our Chinese cuisine just has such a distinct thing in it. I think it's made its name through a lot of places over the world, but I'm very proud of that and something I miss dearly.
Yeah, I love all the food.
I
I
don't
always,
doubt it.
yeah, I always talk about food in my podcast for some
Yes,
reason, but
absolutely. It's so culturally ingrained. You can't really separate it apart at all. But yeah.
yeah. And I love Chinese food because I mentioned my family
Well, yeah,
side.
family is
Yeah,
from China.
they just make some of the Chinese dishes,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's a little bit mixed with Vietnamese. But
It's
yeah,
understandable. The adaptation is perfectly understandable when you're just evolving for different regions, and there are certain ingredients, certain materials you cannot get locally. Like there's a dish from my mom's hometown that's like the rice noodle with beef. It's not, you can consider it pho, but it's not sweet. They use a very specific type of cow or lamb that only grows in the region of a plateau. It does not get anywhere else. You cannot have that flavor anywhere else. Like there has been places that will try to duplicate the flavor and have a restaurant maybe like in the bigger city and area. It has a similar kick, but it's not at all the same. It's incredibly difficult. I can't even try to make it myself. It's terribly hard with the finding the right type of meat, type of stock, type of vegetable and whatnot, but I miss that dearly.
Yeah, I don't doubt about that because there's even though it's mixed or it's local, it's always have some unique flavor that it's very
Exactly.
hard to make it.
I
So yeah.
know. I don't doubt it. Mm.
Yeah. So besides of no talking about food, is
Yes.
there any like places that like provide very unique kind of food?
Here
Do
in
you
Tulsa?
know about
Oh,
in your
in
China?
China?
Yeah.
I can go on and on because I my family are from different provinces in their concept of state, and they have various different eating habits. And compared to where I grew up in the south, which is in the province called Guangdong, we in the province we currently live in, we don't prefer the spicier food. It's much more sweet, not sweeter, but it's we prefer the natural flavor of meats. Like we prefer the original flavor of shrimp, just steaming them, boiling them. If you have truly good fresh food presented to you, you can taste the sweetness of the shrimp. And like chicken, like cows and beef, there really is not too much seasoning needed if you when you have the fresher access of food. But where both my parents are from, they prefer spicy food. There's not a single meal they go on without spice. Like pepper, and there's the Sichuan corn pepper. Those are incredibly spicy, and they grew up eating those food because they live in a colder region and they do need the warmth and kick of it to keep going, I guess. But if you go up to the north, like I've mentioned, they're famous for their flour related type of food such as noodles and buns. And there's a type of, I don't even know how to translate it. It's kind of like a burger. It's like, think of like the Indian naan, the thicker, and they will like stuff it with meat. And it's a very distinct dish that we have in the north. And it's quite unique, I guess. But I don't exactly know because a lot of our food has traveled abroad past thousands of years and influenced other cultures, such as like dumplings and rice. Very specifically, there are other things we eat. A lot of culture now have adapted to their diet and habits and stuff. Dumplings definitely one of them. My Polish friend Ella, she says they kind of had an adaptation to their dumplings of sauerkraut. We also do that in the north, but in Japan we have the geisio, I think that's how you say it. And there's a lot of other dumpling versions everywhere else in the Asian countries that we eat. So that's something unique, I think.
Yeah, I love like I don't know if that's pronounced right, but
Mhm.
say like shumai.
小麦.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah, some of
Oh,
my
烧麦. Is that it? 烧麦 or 小麦?
I have no idea. It's not shumai. It's a kind of meat
Yeah.
in
It has a
the
little
bowl.
white, like a yellow wrapping around
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's from
yeah.
the south. That's like a dim sum. Like that's what we call like the
Oh
breakfast type
yeah,
of dishes and down in the south. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Those are delicious.
I love that so much. Yeah, and you mentioned Guangdong. Is that what you
Yes.
say?
Mm-hmm.
Because I keep thinking about that. I don't know how to
Mhm.
pronounce this one, but I know it's a part of Guangdong.
Yes.
So maybe you know this like side of where my family from.
Yeah.
I really want to know.
Yeah.
Is that Jiaozhou?
赵州还是广州? There's a couple of like cities named with the word ending 州.
Yeah.
And Guangzhou is the capital city of the province, and that might be your family where it's from. But there's also Zhengzhou. I don't know if like Zhengzhou is in the province line. I have to look it up, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know. Or I can press on Google Translate.
Yeah.
I'll be better.
If you could spell it for me, I'm sure I can figure it out.
I don't know how to spell it either.
No worries. No
Yeah,
worries.
well, let's say.
Chaozhou. Okay,
Chaozhou?
yeah, Chaozhou. Then I know exactly what you're talking about. They are known for their beef, like meatballs. They're known for their beef meatballs and their version of hot pot, and they're a very influential culture in the province. Actually, they are a lot of people from different type of cities speak their language, like dialect, and they're a very unique type of people in our province for sure. You recognize them spot on.
Yeah, so yeah, that's just what I know about my mother's side, but they didn't really like talk to me a lot about their culture because my great grandpa, I knew her. I knew him when I was very young, and when I grew up, he just passed away. So I was like, I want to know, but nobody told me.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, but yeah.
They're considered quite a religious culture, I would think. They have certain traditions such as favoring their daughters not marrying far away. They would prefer their kids staying close by and stuff like that. And their food is fabulous. That's something I can tell you. And you can get it anywhere else. Like I told you, the ingredients are just entirely different. But yeah, I have a decent amount of middle school friends and high school friends that are from Chaozhou, and you see the resemblance between families, how they kind of perceive teaching, educating their kids and stuff like that. But I can't really tell you too much about it because unfortunately I'm not from there. But if I can connect you to someone, I totally would.
Yeah. So like, would you mind? I'm asking like what part of Guangdong you are in?
Oh, I originally lived in Shenzhen, a city right next to Hong Kong. That's how you enter Hong Kong technically, and through the mainland. But my family is from different state. We just lived there majority of my life, and now we moved to the suburb of like outside the city of a different city called Dongguan. It's complicated. I'm sorry, but the city line and the county line in the states are different than what we have. So we just have city lines. We don't have county lines really. But
yeah, I think I know where it is because I don't know. I watch a lot of Chinese drama, but they usually translate into Vietnamese, and it sounds fancy, but I never watch in the dub because I want to listen to the language.
Yeah.
Like any type of movie, I want to listen in the native language.
I understand. So it cringes me when it's dubbed, just a little bit.
Yeah, but yeah, I just usually get distracted if it's in dub. So yeah,
I understand.
Yeah, and sorry, I just suddenly forgot what I'm trying to ask, but yeah.
You're so fun.
Okay.
It's a city that's growing quite large to this day. It's quite new. It was under very rapid development of Deng Xiaoping, one of our leaders of the country back in the 70s, that he decided to open that city as an eye for the overseas business and whatnot. So it has grown to be one of the biggest cities in the country. It's quite modern. Like if you think of Singapore, and they have their like very tall fancy buildings and whatnot, and that city has it all because we have the coastal line. You can get to see the ocean across Hong Kong, and we don't have a lot of mountains in that area. It's quite flat, but the greenery in that city is fabulous. That's something I miss terribly because I grew up studying in that city, and I walked around everywhere is trees. Despite the amount of buildings we have in the city, we have so many trees and beautiful parks that you can just go to and kind of semi-enjoy nature. Man-made nature.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. So we talk a lot of places. So are there any famous places that you would like to recommend me if I want to travel to China?
Absolutely. So we have a surprisingly amount of a range of like, what's the word? Geographic type of difference. We have like the plateau, we have hills and mountains, we have like the flat land, I guess. That really depends if you would like to go see the landscape differences in the country. We also have a desert. But I would recommend you going to just experience something only we have, as in the culture difference from our thick history background.
Mhm.
And Forbidden City is something you for sure should visit. You see it sometimes in movies and shows, and those are rebuilt. If you visit it yourself, it's not quite like what you imagine, like the grand golden. Some of the gold has faded, but but it's you see, because the things inside has remained thousands of years. They tried to repair it with to the true color and whatnot. Forbidden City is somewhere you definitely should visit because it's enormous. I could not finish walking there in a day, and you have to leave after certain of hours, and you get to see where the throne, the emperor's seat used to be, and stuff like that. It's quite. I would think mesmerizing, if that's a word, because if you survive, your family survived in China for the past hundreds of years, that means you're direct descendant of an emperor from the past. So, and I can't really understand the aspect of like the dynasty life nowadays, but you see how they structure their houses, their palaces, and how they operate in the past, and it's quite fascinating, I guess.
Mhm.
And the Great Wall. I mean, everybody knows of the Great Wall. I was very scared of it when I was a kid because it's on top of the mountain, and it's some of the stairs are like 90-degree climbing up, and it's quite scary. We have a saying in China that's 不到长城非好汉 means if you've never been to the Great Hall, then you're not like an admirable man. It's not true, but it's a slang we say, and it's encouraged people to view that like one of the world's wonders. I would think it's a landscape you can't quite find anywhere else. And there's a beautiful lake down like the west north side of the city that called Kanisa Lake. We call them Kanasi Hu, which is like, I can't really explain it to you, but similar to Colorado in the summer that have great hills, beautiful lakes, but with a very different type of culture presence there. There's a whole list I can share you, but the translation to me gets stuck because sometimes I
Yeah.
do not know how to word things in a way that if they have like official international translation, but that's so far I will for sure you going to visit. There's a palace in Xizang, like the Tibetan area. I actually don't know what it's called in English
Yeah.
again.
No, it's okay. It's
um
very normal when, because, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say when I
mhm,
mentioned the
mhm,
sub and dub, maybe,
mhm.
that I want to know is in their maybe native
Native
language.
language, yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's beautiful to share, and you just need to try to
Pick
learn
it
it.
up, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
It's quite hard, but this place is in English called Potala Palace, but it's what we call Budala Gong. It's the supposedly in altitude wise the highest architecture in the world because the landscape of there, and it's a very religious religious comment, I would say, because they worship, not worship, what's the word, it's Buddhism based, I guess.
Oh,
And
yeah,
the
yeah.
people there in the Tibetan area, they're very faithful towards, we don't technically call it Lord, but
Yeah, I get what you
gods
mean.
and
Yeah.
Gideons and whatnot. But it's a we call it like a very beautiful and sanctuary place to visit. But there's challenges fitting that area because when you live in the like the lower altitude areas, your lungs are used to the enormous oxygen you have. If you go up that high up, you actually could get like run out of air
Yeah,
because your
yeah.
lungs cannot process, and that's something I found happened to people who live there, like Tibetan people. They come to the lower altitude area, they get drunk off the oxygen because they're not used to the abundance of oxygen they have in the air. It's quite fascinating, but
Yeah.
that's somewhere you for sure should visit. I personally have never been to because school life in China is quite insanely busy,
Hmm.
but somewhere I would love to visit and at the same time kind of terrified too.
Yeah. No, that's awesome places. I have known like one of them when you mentioned
Mhm.
about the Great Wall, because
Mhm.
I have watched I think it's a history movie. I don't
Mhm.
know, it's completely fictional, but I
Mhm.
I know it's somehow
Yeah, somewhat
not.
fictional. They
Yeah.
they would like to incorporate some historical facts and context into it, but sometimes it 70% of it's fictional. I know
Mhm.
exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I watched it with my grandma,
Mm-hmm.
and she just loved it so much because it's talking about the process how people build up the Great
Mm-hmm.
Wall,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's cool too. So
It
yeah.
really is. The process, not gonna lie, is quite brutal because you can't really imagine the bricks on the Great Wall are like tons and tons and heavy, and they're traveling that all through the mountain hill. I don't even know how the. I sometimes feel like the ancient people are smarter than us just because they don't have the technology we possess nowadays, and for them to manually, or just maybe using a rod of wood moving that uphill is insane to me. But
Yeah.
it's fascinating. I absolutely agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's another site that people always ask me about is the Qin Shi Huang, like the first emperor we have, technically his tomb. I don't know what's the English name again, but it's the terracotta army. That's how you say it.
Yeah. I
That's
know what it is.
yes. That's also a sight to see. They limit visits throughout the day because the exposure of air makes the pottery lose its color. But if you ever have the chance, go visit. It's like a straight on army size. It's insane. But they haven't actually dug up his burial
Mhm.
actually because there's a lot of, what do you say it? Like tricks, not tricks. There's a lot of ambush inside. Like there's a lot of danger and a lot of architect. Not what's the word? The weight of how they excavate emperors' tombs are quite delicate, and the way they hold the air entering to the space, it does not destroy anything technically. So till this day, we have not opened his tomb, but we have that. We have the army for you to visit for sure. But yeah, that's something very fascinating to see as well. They
Yeah.
recently have a technology of like AI generating the statue of every like soldier in the army because they were carved out of real human, as in like referencing to, and they starting to build up the actual face of how you see as a human being rather than just pottery. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
um,
No, that
it's
would be
it's
so cool.
it's fascinating because you see some of the resemblance you maybe see people in the day-to-day life, which is quite awesome. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so cool. I really want to visit China.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's why I'm asking you someplace, and I did took notes somewhere. So
Absolutely.
I'm
If you
so
have questions,
ready.
please contact. I'm happy to tell you wherever it is, and I will give you a heads up because of our enormous population. You would expect enormous like amount of visitors at site. That's just
Mm-hmm.
how it is. Unfortunately, we have a lot of people, and there's a point when you're on the Great Hall, because you picture just a wall of, I don't even know how to say it, like just stairs and just hallways on the mountain, and you just see heads. It's just that many people there, but it's definitely worth visiting for sure.
Yeah. That's so cool. So, what do you think like people should prepare or know in advance before they visiting China to avoid maybe some culture shock?
To study in China, as in, or visit?
Like both.
Both? Okay. I had a couple of friends that I know of are studying Chinese as their domestic students, and I think when they're involved in the process of learning the language, they're somewhat exposed to the culture, and they understand certain aspect of how you perceive yourself. We don't really say hi to people on the street. We're quite conservative and a shy, introverted culture. So if you say hi randomly to people on the street, just expect that they won't say hi back. And we kind of just mind our own business of walking on the streets and whatnot. We are quite friendly, I would think, especially you're a foreigner. What we say that foreigner from afar are like a dear friend to coming to visit. So we do have a, I would think, a hospitable hospitable culture for people to visit. At the same time, do be aware of the food differences. We do have like the Walmart size supermarkets and whatnot, like the grand mall, whatever you call it when you go to grocery shopping. But we have a lot of like markets. Not,
Mhm.
I guess here they call it the farmers market, but we do sell raw meat.
Oh, so
Like
it's
like
outside.
it's
Yeah, yeah,
outside,
yeah.
and I've heard stories of other people trying to buy those meats and not cook them fully and get sick.
Oh.
They're monitored and they are going through health lines, but at the same time we cook, especially pork and lamb, including beef, we cook them entirely cooked till we eat them. So at the process, just be aware of that. If you buy them from a store, then might not be an issue, but that's something I've heard from other people when they travel in the city and get sick from food. So that's something to know about. We have fantastic McDonald's and KFCs, so if you have trouble eating our local food, just go there. They have fabulous menus, and the stores are much better. but yeah, but yeah. As for studying in China, I would think just it applies the same both ways. Just don't be afraid. We are a country that study English a lot, and I'm sure if you just try it a little bit, you can find someone very fluent enough to communicate you in English if you need to. But hopefully by the point you enter China, you know some Chinese to get by. To
Yeah.
get by. But yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. Because I don't know much about that, but I have heard they use different kind of platform other than Google, but I don't know if it's
Oh, okay.
true. So
Internet
yeah.
wise, yeah, we don't have technically don't have access to Instagram and Google and whatnot. We have a wall. We have a firewall around internet, but you can easily get by using a VPN. So just get a VPN. It's not an issue. But you're able to log on to our local internet and whatnot if you need to. There are services of phone companies that provide like citywide Wi-Fi if you need them be or data that works.
Yeah, because the only thing make me wonder if
Mhm.
I imagine I study there, it's just
Mhm.
like how do I use the Google Map to
Oh,
travel
okay.
around?
We have this search engine called Baidu. That's what we
Like,
mostly use in the country because we don't have access to Google. Or you can use the Apple Map. That works too. We call them 高德地图, but in Apple it's just Apple.
yeah.
But yeah, that's something you can get by. And we have a lot of other apps I can introduce, maybe show you. But it kind of looks like a Google app sign, but that's how you get by. And there's English versions of you if you do need a language help. But yeah, Apple Map works fine.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, because the biggest fear when I
Mhm.
travel somewhere is just like
Mhm.
I'm usually get lost.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Google Map is a big help. Sometimes it's kind of silly, but it helps you majority of the times.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we go through a lot of things, so I
Yep.
want to end with my favorite few. Maybe
Of
it's about
course.
some Chinese movies.
Mhm.
So do you recently like watching any like
Yeah,
Chinese?
our recent years of film industry is not the best, but in the past we have some great films come out. I've been saving this one film from one of the most famous director from China, just so it's such a, like a treasure piece of artwork of a film that I don't want to waste it on just a random occasion. And I recently watched it. It's called Farewell Countess. In Chinese, it's called 霸王别姬. It's quite a satin film, I would say. It was somewhere related in the time where we have a lot of turnovers of government changing, when the empire falling, blah, 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 stuff like that. And it's a very historical, like high context of a film. If you are not exposed to the culture of our history, you might not understand it, but it it has a reference to the Peking opera, as in like Farewell Countess. It's a very well-known tale of a, how do I say this, of a wife, I guess, saying goodbye to his king, her king, so his emperor. It's a quite tragic of a Peking opera piece, but it's we will be recognized as a national treasure because that's something they have been going on for thousands,
Yeah,
about like
years.
1,000 years. Yeah, 1,000 years. I think it's available on YouTube, and but yeah,
Yeah.
that's so far I have what in my mind because that movie made such an impression in my mind. I've been trying to go back and rewatch it. It's so sad and it's quite long of a film, but it's beautiful. It's beautifully conducted. It's beautifully written. The actors and actresses are phenomenal. They've won like national awards in France and Italy, and I think it won Golden Globes. I'm not sure. It might have. It was way back in the time. It was probably like in the 90s when they had that film coming out. But yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. I recently rewatched a Chinese, I would say like it's like a high school
Mhm.
kind of thing,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I really enjoyed that one and
Okay.
it's motivated me so much
Uh-huh.
during
Okay.
my high school, so I really love that. But the English translation is My Huckleberry Friend.
My Huckleberry. I have
Yeah.
to look it
Oh,
up.
yeah. I can show you
The
the
fire,
picture.
maybe? Yeah. I never realized this till I came here because we translate things. We even translate movies here to Chinese when we're in China. So I watch a lot of famous films like I have not watched the Titanic, but we call Inception, we called that like a space for stealing dreams in a more beautiful way than that. But we have those translation differences of film titles and article titles or even books titles. And when people ask me if do I know so and so thing, I would just like register I don't because I don't know the translation of in English. And I look it up. It's just exact same thing. I never realized that's a thing till I come here and the interaction of things and I realized that. But yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? There's some movies that translate, and I don't understand what exactly it
Yeah.
means because it's
Right.
completely mean opposite way.
Right,
So-
right. They're just trying to incorporate in the way that the domestic people understand it better. Yeah.
But this is the movie.
Oh, that encouraged you? Oh my word.
No, it's so cute. No, I love the life of this girl because
Yeah.
her life is just like very bad when her mom passed away.
Yeah.
And then she's so smart, she's so
Uh-huh.
cool. I was like, I want to be that girl.
Yes. I'm glad that's passing along that message. Majority of those high school films are for romance.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
this one is more about this girl life. So that's why
Okay.
it's make the difference.
Nice.
So yeah.
I've not personally watched it, but I've heard things about it. It's quite nice.
Yeah, and I like her too. I think it's Leelandy, if it's right. But yeah, this is another one. I really love that. But
Oh yeah, these are quite new. I haven't even keep up with the recent films. Unfortunately, there are some old ones I watched. Yeah, but I would recommend if you like those, try some Taiwanese films. Actually, Taiwanese films are quite good. There's this one. It's not. I'm looking at it again because I don't know.
it's yeah. I want to know like more movie because I don't know. I just recently get back to some of the movie in my comfort zone for some reason. So I love this kind of movie.
If it in English it says it's "Hear Me," but
Hear Me.
yeah, it's also in Chinese. But it's that film. It's not new, but it's a very you get the softness of what a Taiwanese culture film would be like. They're quite gentle. They're quite I don't know how to describe it. It's the atmosphere of their films, and it's quite sweet.
Yeah.
It doesn't technically have like school content in it, but it's very, very beautifully done, and I love this movie to my heart.
Yeah.
And it's acted by quite now famous actors and actresses, if you know them. One of the actors is Peng Yuyan. He's quite famous in China and the mainland, both in Taiwan, and he's a fabulous actor too.
Yeah, that's so cool. That movie gave me a vibe of one of the series called I don't know how to say it in Chinese, but in English I would say they translate into "You are the apple of my eyes."
Huh? What are these translations? Let me see. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, I've watched this actually. I've watched this. Yes, that's also a Taiwanese film. It's that film is great. That film is awesome. I actually really like that film.
Yeah, no, I watch all the romance and drama ones.
Yes, right? That film was actually very well conducted. There's this category of youth film they do, just talking about school years in the past and just kind of mesmerizing of how it is back in the time. That's one of the films that actually done it the best.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah, it's so nostalgic for my childhood because I watched a lot. I think because of the television of my country, they usually air some kind of movie in Asia, like Korea, Chinese, and Japanese sometimes. But yeah, it's so nostalgic.
I wonder if you watch like our Palace Emperor shows by any chance, because there are ones that are so famous till this day. I don't know if you guys like understand the context when they're playing, but there are a few ones that are so good. Let me try to look up the English word again.
I do watch one of them. It's about the Qi dynasty, but I don't know if is there any like historical context. I know that one.
Yeah, this one is like the gold piece for like Qing Dynasty back palace drama.
Let me search for the movie I'm talking about.
The characters they have are not fictional. The reference to characters have existed in history. They're recorded of being emperors and empresses in the past, but what happened might somewhat be tweaked just a little bit. And there was one show that was taking reference from like museums and historical art books of duplicating their outfits and just sets and whatnot to the extent you can't really tell the difference.
Yeah, for you. I do know, like, because I study like some of the Chinese history here when I was in high school here, and they do mention some of them, which I realized because I watched the movie. But yeah, I'm trying to find that movie, but I don't know if it's familiar for you. But it's like trimming back to the chin.
Yeah. I know exactly what that is.
Yeah, I love that one so much. Maybe because some of the romance, like, it's very fancy because this girl is from like the modern life, and then she just go back to
I guess.
I was like,
I don't understand the whole concept when they have the whole like time travel genre back in those days. I don't think they do that very often now because it's not encouraged anymore. But it's quite interesting. I would say it's quite interesting, and I think how Asian culture does romance film are just drastic different how Western film does. It's more subtle, and in a way it makes your heart be like, oh my gosh, they're gonna hug and their whole hands. but here is much more direct, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, this one is just so fancy, and for me, I just watched this one as the one travel thing because I'm not really like them a lot, even though it's interesting, but I don't think it's good to have some historical context and then change it for some reason.
Yes.
I was like,
Absolutely.
it's not right. So
yeah, I understand. There have always been voices coming out for like certain shows like this that's related to the past, and they're like, that's not what happened. You shouldn't do that. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's so awesome. And I have learned so many interesting things about China today. And it's so nostalgic because my culture is like intertwined with this so much. So, yeah, well, thank you, Violet, for coming here today. And yeah, I really enjoy your story on the facts you share, on the location you mentioned. I took note here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And yeah. So
thank you for having me. I hope I share some with you. It's quite a big country to tell stories for, and there's sometimes I would tell stories to my boyfriend and he see like tales that overlap some with some Native American stories, which is fascinating to me, but I can go on and on and on for sure. But thank you so much for having me. I hope I provide some insightful sources for you to see, visit, films, movies, and whatnot. But if you have any questions, just reach out.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for listening today, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.